This is season 2 of the Business Playroom, and I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm very happy. That's a bit lame, isn't it?
Excited.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited to have the winner of the first Apprentice here, Andrew Morello. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You're the first person I've shaken hand with. And Renee Hasseldine. And over here, my other co-host, Samantha Riley.
Right.
I managed to get in there without spilling water or knocking that over.
Yeah.
That was
I'm
good
impressed.
stuff.
It's
Yes.
a talent. It's a talent.
You're doing really well for yourself. You should get a gold star, I reckon.
Yeah. You have totally made it in the world. Too.
Yeah.
I have. I'm going off. I am going off today.
Fantastic.
Okay, we're starting. This is the Business Playroom. I've already said that, haven't I? And Andrew Morello, tell us a little about yourself.
I'm just a simple boy from Moonee Ponds, originally, trying to get ahead in life.
With highlights.
With highlights, I do.
Simple,
yes,
people,
Bondi.
simple boys don't have highlights.
Now living in Bondi, correct?
Yes.
Now living in Bondi. I, as you said, won the first Australian Apprentice, but I'm also head of business development at Yellow Brick Road Wealth Management, which is a public listed company with our executive chairman, Mark Burris. And probably the biggest thing I'm working on now is my philanthropic work internationally. So I've just got back from Papua New Guinea doing Kokoda for Indigenous education. And I leave on Tuesday for Cambodia with Project Gen Z to run entrepreneur programs. We're taking 25 international entrepreneurs over to work with the children that are slightly older now in the outreach program that have gone through Sunrise Village, which helps children from all over Cambodia.
Beautiful. The thing you want to talk on is building better relationships, and this is just not in business, but
Life?
life.
Yeah, definitely. So something I'm very passionate about, obviously, is building better relationships with the people around you. I believe that the meaning to life is actually the people we meet and what we create with them. So I had the great honour and pleasure of meeting you guys today, and we're creating something here, and hopefully people are enjoying it and they get something out of it. And it really inspires and motivates me to be able to assist people in building those better relationships, not just in business, but in life. And if I can give them little bits of gold, then I've done my work.
Well, we can try.
We can try, correct.
You can only
I mean-
try. So why is building relationships important? For our audience who are business owners, why are they going to give a fuck about that?
Yeah, fair enough. So I don't have a degree. I can't spell, and I barely finished high school. And I would hope someone would look at my my runs in business and say, wow, he's done well, and a lot of people have said that to me. So I would attribute 95% of my success to the fact that I have always been able to build relationships better than most. And I think when you can build great relationships in your everyday life, they transpond into your business and vice versa. Because if the relationships at home aren't right, then obviously the relationships in your business and with your clients won't be right either.
Yeah.
And Morello, you're also, I believe, a self-confessed, you're a hard worker.
I am a hard worker, definitely. Yeah. I'm in the trenches 7 days a week between my charity stuff and my business stuff. I've got interest in half a dozen businesses. I sit on the board for 2 charities and three companies as well. So obviously it is hard work, but as I think everyone at this table would agree, if you're doing things that you love, it's not really work.
Yeah.
I know that sounds cliche, but it's a reality for me. I'm living my life's purpose, and I stick to my vision, mission, and values. And because I do that, every day's a reward.
If it's about this balance, if it's about this building better relationships, how do you do that?
Great. So what I wanted to do was share a couple of things that I do. I think one of the biggest things is preparation. So what happens is people often, like you're a prime example, you guys are a prime example, you've had me on the show here today, and obviously you would have done your research about the people you're going to be interviewing, so you can obviously build in a very short period a bit of rapport with that person, and also have some empathy and understanding what's important to them. So the number one tip I give people is you do need to put some time into preparation, and it's very, very simple. The first thing that they can do, and there's an amazing piece of technology, some people may not have heard of it, but it is a thing called Google. And it's amazing, I know, but it's revolutionary. So you can actually Google people's names.
Get into it now. If you haven't started, get
You
into
should
it now.
really try it out.
Pro tip.
It's amazing. It's
Who
amazing.
has not Google stalked someone though, really?
Of course, that's right. It's true. Google stalked them, social media. I think, and I think it's anyone who really wants to connect with another person now should really do a bit of research on it.
There's a lot of stuff on the internet, just for your viewers too, that's not true about me. This being a business show, kind of. I use that word very loosely. That's what it is. What do you do to bring a business relationship along?
Yeah, great. Look, one of the other things I like to work with people on, and I speak internationally about is waking up. The concept of waking up. So obviously, especially small business owners, often they get caught up in what I call the 90-day hamster wheel, and they just get stuck in this rut. And what I think they do is they forget that people, and when I say this, sometimes people misconstrue me and think that they're expecting me to expect them to be Andrew Morello. So obviously, the way I am, and when I say to people, wake up, be motivated, bring that into your business, because people want to do business and they want to be on the team of the successful person, the person who's giving it a crack. And when I say successful, it doesn't necessarily mean who's got the biggest bank account, because I lose business sometimes. I used to be the 19, 20-year-old young buck in my property career where I sold 1,000 properties, and I would knock the 50-year-old, grey-haired gold watch guy off the pedestal. And now that started happening to me because there's these 20-year-old guys that are really good. They're really fucking good. So they're more excited than me, but they do it in their own way. So they don't need to, when I say be excited about the business, be grateful for the opportunity for the business, and wake up and get motivated. I'm not saying be Andrew Morello and jump off walls, because I've been picked at the post by guys that are a lot more subtle than me, but they bring energy and they bring enthusiasm to the opportunity.
Morello, something that I always say, well, just now actually, is when you're authentic and standing in that space, you don't create grey area of people. You polarize.
Yes.
And the majority will be your tribe, and they're into you, and then there's just people who just don't get you at all.
Yeah.
But there's not much grey area when you really stand for something.
Yeah. That's me.
It's almost being the example of which you speak of.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's the easiest way to lead people is don't tell them what to be or what to do. It's like, I'm showing you.
Yes,
I'm showing
definitely.
you. Yeah.
Definitely. So the other thing we were speaking about earlier as well is I have a basic formula that I use for both business and for personal life, and I was going to put it up on the board for
Would you like to?
Right? Yeah, fantastic.
Yep.
Great.
That'll be a good segue to the board.
Shall I show over on my socks?
Yes.
Yeah, I got my banana socks on today, and I thought I'd splurge a little bit and get them out for you.
Nice. We do appreciate that.
No worries. So one of my first mentors, a gentleman named Chris Halder, American guy who works in Australia now. I had mentors from literally 15, 16, 17 years old. They were paid mentors. I went straight and I started my first business when I was 15, so I wanted to show true value, and they always looked after me because it was a novelty for them that some 15-year-old was paying. I'm sure they could have got thousands of dollars from other people, but I would pay them $100 a session, $50 a session, whatever it was. And Chris was great for me, especially when I was 16, 17, looking to move into property and people and so forth. So he taught me this formula, and for people who always say to me, oh, look, Morello, I'm not a people person like you. And I said, well, look, I'll do you a deal. You put this up, you put it in front of your computer, put it on the back of your phone, just give this a crack. Now, I'm not going to lie to anyone watching this. Two things will happen. One, you'll make lots and lots of money. The other thing is, and you've got to be good about it, you will meet a lot of people that you want to take home. I'm not going to lie to you. This works on either one. I'm not going to lie. So number one, if you go with this formula, is F is for family. Renee, your husband will approve, don't worry, I'm sure. He'll like me. He'll like me. So F is for family. The great news is everyone's got a family. If you stop Mrs. Morello in Moonee Ponds, my mother at Coles there, and you're selling vacuum cleaners out the front, and you talk to her and you let her tell the story about her son that was on TV, her other son who's given her 2 grandchildren, a daughter who's come back from London, you let her talk for 45 minutes about her family, she'll buy 2 vacuum cleaners. She doesn't need them, but she'll buy them, right? O is for occupation. You go to the corner of Pascoe Road and Buckley Street in Moonee Ponds in Melbourne. My dad's service station's there, 47 years. You let him talk about how, Woolies and Coles have prostituted the independent service stations of Australia. You let him rant for 45 minutes on that. You got a box of spanners to sell. My dad's got a whole building full of tools that he doesn't even use or need. He'll buy 3 boxes of spanners.
I know someone like that in Adelaide.
You know someone like that in Adelaide?
You know who I'm talking about, don't you?
That would be concerning in Adelaide as well. R is for recreation.
Heart of gold.
Heart of gold. Recreation, what this is here, is finding what is the important thing for them. So I started my career in property when I was 18 in a place called Newport in Melbourne. It's a predominantly Lebanese Muslim community. Now I wasn't Muslim and I wasn't Lebanese, but I would go door knocking and I'd get opportunities to go into people's homes. And what I did is I started finding out what was important to their culture. So I would remove my shoes before I walked in with my banana socks, right? When I'd go through the front door, the husband would be often answer the door with his wife. His wife might be wearing a headscarf, and I would shake his hand, and so she didn't feel uncomfortable, I would put my hands by my side, and I would nod, and I would allow her to put her hand out, so that way I didn't make her feel uncomfortable about her traditions, her culture, and so forth and so forth. So R is recreation, but at the same time, it's also understanding people's cultures and the importance of that, and showing that you care a little bit. They knew I was Italian background, I grew up Catholic, I'm not religious anymore, I'm spiritual now. But they knew that, and they were excited by the fact that someone had actually taken the time to understand what was important to them. Last but not least, in the formula, the magic formula, is dreams. What you do is to wrap all this up, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, Mr. Friend, girl you meet in a bar, guy you meet in a bar, works either way. You talk to me about your family, you talk to me about what's important, your occupation, your dreams and your career and so forth, your recreation, what you love to do on your weekends. Last but not least, you've shared with me your dreams. Now, this is how it works. At that point, you pause and you use this one line. And the one line is very simple. Mr. and Mrs. Klein, now that you've shared with me your dreams, can I show you how Andrew Morello, yes, talk about yourself in the third person, you'll feel like a wanker the first time you do it, but trust me, it has gravitas. Can I show you how Andrew Morello and Yellow Brick Road, Andrew Morello and Jealous Craig, Andrew Morello, and whatever business it is that you're there on behalf of, can I show you how Andrew Morello and Yellow Brick Road can help you achieve those dreams? At that point, you pause. Whoever speaks next loses. Special formula. Forward. I prefer Holden's, but let's not get involved.
Do they lose though?
I want.
They do. They do, trust me.
I don't know if I like thinking about it that way. There's a winner and a loser.
There isn't a winner, but what it is, I'll tell you what you're doing.
Yeah, but that was very dramatic. I think this was done for drama's
It
sake.
was done for drama. It was gravitas,
I appreciate
right?
it. So not
What
just
I'll explain is you have to let them respond. Because for the human brain to connect with another human brain and for that energy to connect, there needs to be a thing called permission granted. So it's in basic neurolinguistics programming as well, where you see people, you're actually seeking their permission and they're buying into what you're about to discuss with them. So whether it's in business or in your personal life or whatever it may be, this very simple formula for those, especially people that feel like they struggle with building relationships, gives them a framework, something very, very simple. Now, obviously, if you came out with me on a Saturday night or you came to one of my appointments, I don't sit there and go the exact structure because this is second nature for me now. But the importance of getting them to speak first is the concept of them buying into what you're about to say and also you seeking permission. So any great human being that wants to bring someone on their journey and inspire and motivate them needs to allow that person to actually permit you to take them on that journey. And that's what that does. But it was just dramatic when I threw the texter and stuff.
Oh, well, I thought it was. I thought it was very dramatic. I got it.
I know he's just picking on me.
Yes. So this is a conversation. This is the what am I trying to say?
Conversation prompter or structure?
The conversation structure, isn't it? I start with the family because it's always a good one to start. Then the occupation, then the recreation, and then how do I help you? How does the Andrew and the Heart of Presenting help you with your dreams?
And use the word dreams. So a lot of people say to me, "Oh, look, it works for you because you're out there and you can get away with it." That's bullshit. Like use the word dreams because the average person dreams 72 times a night. You only remember one or two of them, right? But the reality is everybody has a dream. Everybody. Even if it's, and I don't want to say it in a demeaning way, but like even if it's a simple dream, like I always talk about how Australia is the land of opportunity, the greatest country in the world. Now it could be that because your dream might just be to come from a war-torn country, come to this great country, buy a nice house in the burbs, to send your kids to a good school, even if it's a public school, there's nothing wrong with that. We've got great schooling in Australia, be healthy, not get shot at like in their country that they might be in. Like that's success, that's their dream.
It might just be having a little backyard and a job.
Correct.
If you drive your taxi,
that's their dream. So everyone's got dreams, but I think often what we do, especially when you become successful in business or when you surround yourself with successful people, is sometimes you forget that all dreams are dreams. And your job isn't to determine or judge someone on the caliber of their dream, because the caliber of their dream is determined by their calibration.
Nice. They're all gold. That was solid.
Simple boy from Mooney Ponds.
Yep.
Just trying to get ahead of him off. Just battling away, just in the trenches. Digging.
That's it. Miller, that was very, very good. I actually like this.
Great.
And I enjoyed the drama, to be fair.
Great, thank
Even if it was lost on the other
We'll
two.
make a television over here.
Yeah. Is there something that, I'm just going to wind this up to its natural place. Sam, are you okay? You've been very quiet, haven't you?
I have been very quiet because there's just so much happening over here.
Yes, it is.
Sorry, I get that.
It's like a live wire.
That's why you were looking at me strange. Like, I've never seen her quiet.
That's right. We're going to have a drink in Bondi together. We'll work it out. So yeah.
Mate, is there something that you want to? We'll go through and leave out what we took out of this.
Yes.
Okay. Is there something you want to leave the viewer with that's fresh in their minds?
Yeah. Maybe a couple of pieces of literature. You know, like a lot of the time, people they say to me, once they watch something like this, they get onto my social medias and they ask me, "Oh, look, I really love some of the concepts. What was the foundation for it?" And I think a few pieces of literature that I thoroughly enjoyed, that I got a lot out of, that I've taken in sometimes in my business world, but not just my business world, is and then some of it in my spiritual world and vice versa. Is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Great business book written 100 years ago.
Read that twice. Read it when I was in my 20s, had no idea what they're talking about. Read that about 5 years ago and was like, oh.
It's gold.
Yes,
It is. And it's still so relevant. Another one on the business side is John McGrath, who, real estate tycoon in Australia, is one of my mentors. So You Inc. and You Don't Have to Be Born Brilliant. His 2 books are fantastic. And then on the spiritual side, something that I'm quite passionate about is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Yeah, Toltec
The
teaching.
best book.
Amazing book.
So good.
Literally will change your life. So if you don't use not reading as an excuse. The next one as well, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And last but not least, I had the privilege of meeting Deepak Chopra and spending some time with him as well over a few days, and The 7 Spiritual Laws by Deepak Chopra.
Love that. Beside my bed, it's been there for the last 15 or 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still haven't read it. That's what I was thinking. Why do you sleep with it next to your bed?
I pick a passage out quite often, like once a week.
Yeah,
I'll just pick a sentence out.
Clarified.
Well, what did you take out of this?
Yeah, so what I loved was talking about the preparation of relationships. But adding on to that, and I see this a lot, when people do go and try and make relationships with people that maybe are a bit influential or someone that they look up to, they aren't authentic. They start to mold into a different person.
Yes.
So it's not just the preparation of the relationship, but then going into that in an authentic way.
Yes.
We're all human.
Yeah.
But, sometimes we can get caught up in that. When I meet Brene Brown, I'm a little worried about how I'm going to act, but fangirl. But, being authentic, it's really important.
Right.
Yeah.
Mate, mine is the reality for me. I feel the same way. Is that my play, my life, and my business it's all the same.
Yeah.
It's all the same. But what I really got out of that is, and this is what I've started doing too, is as soon as I start to not enjoy something and it feels like work, I really have to reevaluate. You know what I mean? It's go, okay, that's drawing me creatively. I'm not enjoying it. It's time to reshape it. Renee.
So, I think what I was getting as you were talking through this, and the way that I've heard you speak about people, and mentioning that you're a simple boy from Mooney Ponds.
Yep.
What I think is really important for us all to remember, whether we're talking with clients, family, whatever, we're all human beings.
Yes.
And there's just a real equaliser of everyone is a human being, to have compassion and respect.
Yes.
I think, as you were speaking about going into someone's home and removing your shoes, that comes from respect.
It does.
And I think that is super, super important when you're building relationships.
Perfect. Beautiful addition. Yeah,
Nice.
Great. I love that.
Andrew Morello, are you ready for 10 questions in 1 minute?
Can I take up the whole minute? Because I don't like to finish quick. I like to,
Ready, go. Who's your biggest role model?
My father.
Nice. You're stuck on an island. What is the one thing you have with you?
The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Whoa, a book.
Yeah.
Okay. Best advice ever given personal?
More is lost with indecision than wrong decision.
Oh, I love that one too. I'm a fail fast. Although that wasn't the question to me. Worst advice ever given personal?
It was girl related.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of those.
I don't know. We won't go into the detail, but definitely girl related.
You're rubbing a bowl and a genie pops out. And yeah, given one wish, what would it be?
Unlimited Tim Tams.
Ooh.
Yeah. The packet
yes.
that never ends.
Yeah. What's your favourite children's book?
It was Barber. You know, the elephant?
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah.
That's what it was. My mum had to read it to me like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
How do you find play in your business?
I do what makes me happy every day, and I make lots and lots of money to pay other people really, really well to do the things I don't want to do, so I can do more things I love doing with the people that I love.
Fuck yes.
Nice.
Name something that makes you go,
Short glass full of ice, double shot, Sailor Jerry spiced rum, dash of Coke, no lime.
Nice.
Where did you have your first kiss?
In the movies.
Tell me something we don't know about you.
I have a tattoo on my back from Fiji. It says Bogni no kalu kalu, mataka ona raya ona uta. Tomorrow may be raining, but tonight, us, we have the stars.
Nice. I love the drama behind that too.
The stars.
Yep.
Interpretive dancing.
Andrew Morello, you were the worst so far.
Was I? Or one might say I lasted the longest. That's what I have to say.
This was one reality show you did not win.
It's all about balance, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what you were saying?
But we had fun.
We had fun, and we fully appreciate you coming along and
My
sharing
pleasure.
the time with us.
So
Thank
if
you.
you win or lose the tape, where we go.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you, Renee. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much, Samantha.
Thank you.
And thank you to our crew as well.
Yes, thank you.
That was the Business Playroom.